Hi, this is Les Levine, the self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason in Ohio sports. Since the spring training shut down, the real spring training, I've spent much of my time being mad. Not so much at the virus itself, because it's a pretty tough customer to deal with, but because many of us aren't smart enough to use the only weapons we have, our brains. All right, I got it off my chest. After finally getting a look at what baseball is going to look like and the Indians themselves, I came to the conclusion they're going to have one of the best starting staffs in baseball, even though it's a 60-game series. And their infield, offensively and defensively, might be one of the best in the game. This new format itself is going to produce injuries, as well as the virus itself that's going to rear its ugly head. Nonetheless, they are a team nobody really wants to face. The best part of it for the Tribe is they won't have to play the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Dodgers, the Astros, or the Angels. Remember, a title is a title is a title. No such thing as crying in baseball. No such things as asterisks either. The D-Man, Dennis Manoloff, is here. More Sports and Les Levine is on the air. From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Les Levine, it's a Monday night, it's a brand new week. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports and Les Levine into its 24th, soon to be 25th season, exclusively on cleveland.com. The D-Man welcomes the week. We made a little change this week. We took him out of the starting lineup, moved him in, but I think he'll be back. The D-Man, Dennis Manoloff. How are you, D-Man?
I'm doing great, Les, because the previous time you and I were on these airwaves, it didn't look good for a baseball season. Now, Granted, it is a commissioner-imposed season. It's only 60 games, but at least it's baseball. Even if the owners and players can't get along, at least we're going to have baseball.
Well, I basically said it in the Truth and Reason segment there that, all right, you get rid of the fact that the owners are hateful, the players are hateful, but now you got baseball itself. So now this is actually the first time I'm taking a look at the Indians, see what they have, see what they don't have. They're pretty loaded, all things considered.
Yes, Les, I think they have the most complete roster, again, top to bottom in the AL Central, one of the most complete in the American League, if not all of baseball. And that's why I would put the Indians, as the favorites to win the Central. I think the Minnesota Twins have the better lineup, but they lack anywhere near the Indians' starting pitching firepower, which I think is going to be very important in this 60-game season. And the White Sox are the ultimate wild card, the ultimate X factor. They're young, they're hungry, they're supremely talented, at least as far as potential goes. If they get off to a hot start, I think they're going to be a serious problem for Cleveland. But still, I have to see it first from the White Sox. So I like the Indians to come out of the Central with a title.
Yeah, you start looking at this thing. Has nothing to do with any way we've ever looked at baseball before. See who's the favorite, who's not the favorite. But what it does look like, and I don't know what they're going to do, because they have like 57 outfielders who are exactly the same guy. So I don't know who's going to be there, whether it's Delino DeShields or Bowers or Franmil Reyes. Well, he's not the same guy, but who knows if Tyler Naquin can play and a couple of these other guys. They got some choices, and it's not going to be like in other years, D-Man, where these guys can work themselves into their hitting, their swing, and the way they play the game and how they play the game. Because you better look like you're doing something in the first 10, 12 games, or you're not going to be around for 14, 15.
You're absolutely right, Les. And it puts a lot of pressure on the manager when it comes to the everyday player, specifically the everyday stud, such as Jose Ramirez, Frankie Lindor, Franmil Reyes, Carlos Santana. Because you got to figure out, we got a 60-game schedule, at least, at the start, 60 games in less than 70 days. but you've got to figure ways to get them more rest than just 60 games. You can't ride your horses every game for 60 games in
Right.
such a compressed time frame. So you're going to have to figure out, when do I get Frankie an extra day? When do I get Hosey an extra day? And that could also affect, you know, the standings dramatically because you have such a small, relatively speaking, sample size.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. The D-Man Dennis Manoloff with us. We'll talk more baseball a little bit later. D-Man, you surprised Cam Newton shows up as a New England Patriot? You surprised about that?
A little bit, because I think I might have mentioned it on our airwaves a few weeks ago with you, Les, that I thought it's a little late in Cam Newton's career to be baptized by Belichick, as it were, to have to go in and learn the Belichick way. If you're a rookie, you're a wide-eyed rookie, eager beaver, okay, that's one thing. But Cam Newton's an established player in the NFL, a former MVP. He's been in the Super Bowl. So for him to go to Belichick is going to, you would think, be a culture shock. So I wasn't sure that it was the right fit. However, when Cam Newton saw the landscape and recognized that he probably didn't have a realistic shot of starting with any other paper contender, any other contender in our eyes, you know, somebody who has potential to go to the playoffs, this was probably his best shot to start for a good team. So in that sense, I guess I'm not surprised.
All right, so the report comes out that there was one other team that had talks with him. It wasn't close, but there was one other team. That was who? The what? Cleveland Browns.
The Browns.
The Cleveland Browns apparently talked to Cam Newton somewhere along the line. What, the fact that they talked, and I do believe in, you have a situation like that, you got to talk to anybody who wants to talk to you. But does it make you think that maybe they're lightening up how they feel about Baker Mayfield, and so they wanted to talk to him, or do you think they were just kicking the tires a little bit?
Well, I would think the latter lesson. And let's remember, one of the golden rules of Cleveland sports is, you know, Cleveland teams talk to everybody. You know how the Indians are always linked to a player after he signs somewhere else? So
Oh, we
in
just
this
missed
case,
him.
what's that, Les?
Oh, we just missed him.
Yeah, they can always say, well, we were in on it until the very last second. Okay, so let's say the Browns kicked the tires on Newton. Was it realistic that he was going to come here? No.
No.
Especially, you know, you get a guy like Case Keenum in here as, I think, the perfect backup for the quarterback in his make or break year. And when I say make or break, I mean, which way is his career going to go for Baker Mayfield? Is he going to ascend or is he going to descend? I think this year is a big, big step toward one of those two outcomes. But Keenum's good because he's a veteran who has played well in his career, but he's not going to push Baker out of the starting job. He's going to keep the heat on him. He'll be there to win games if Baker goes down. But clearly, Mayfield is the number one guy on this team. If you bring Newton in, Les, I don't know that you have that, distinct paradigm. I think
No, he's looking for one more big contract. He's looking for one more big contract.
Yeah, and he would be threatening Mayfield for the starting job.
Okay, so let me ask you this: you got Cam Newton in last year, and Baker Mayfield in 2018. Let's take a look at what these guys did and tell me who you'd rather have that kind of a year. Here you see Newton. There you go with 67.9% of completions, 3,395 yards, and 24 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. Mayfield at 63.8 rather, and at 3,725 yards, 17 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions. Which one do you like better statistically?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I would take the Bake Show regardless of what the stats showed there, because we know that in 2019, Mayfield did not play particularly well, or certainly up to his standard. No doubt there were extenuating circumstances, but He didn't play particularly well. He was part of the problem. Still, I'm going to ride at least one more year with the number one overall pick who is as young as Mayfield is and is not as dinged as Newton is. That's one of the issues that I would have if I'm a team trying to break through. If I bring in Newton, I've got to worry about his injury history more than I would have to worry about Mayfield's injury history.
All right, that all being said, how much on the hot seat is Baker Mayfield? Is this make or break?
Well, I think it is. I think in terms of, it's not that he will be out of the league if he has a poor 2020, but fame is fleeting, especially in the NFL, which stands for not for long. Think about Mitch Trubisky, our own Mitch Trubisky. I mean, he's going to be pushed by Nick Foles in Chicago in what is it, year 4 now? So just because you are a high draft pick and still relatively young doesn't mean that the bosses aren't going to get antsy. And if Mayfield follows up 2019 with a clunker in 2020, he absolutely would be fighting for a starting job here or somewhere else.
216-575-0403 if you'd like to talk to the D-Man, Dennis Manoloff. We're here up till 7 o'clock tonight live. You can archive us throughout the day and night also on cleveland.com. The question is, did you know that the Ohio Lottery has given $1 billion? I mean, make $1 billion. They've given away $6 billion in winnings over the last 6 months. People are winning in record numbers, and winning is happening all around the state of Ohio. Play an Ohio Lottery game and play it today. You can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/moresports-and-less-Levine. Real simple. We put up a question, you respond to it, we put it on the air later that night. Everybody talks about it. Everybody says that we spelled your name right, and we usually do, since we're just following the way you spelled it to us. We'll take a break. Dennis Manoloff with us. More Sports and Less Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions, or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
Do you like Ohio State football? Would you like to get information from me, Doug Lesmerises, about Ohio State football without having to look at my face? We have got the plan for you. Become an Ohio State text subscriber through cleveland.com. You send a text, 614-350-3315. What do you get? 2, 3, 4 texts right in your phone every day about Ohio State football. Inside information, polls, voting, all kinds of things. You can be on our podcast. We take text subscriber questions on our Buckeye Talk podcast every week. If you really want to be involved with Ohio State football, in season or out of season, become an Ohio State text subscriber from cleveland.com. Send a text to 614-350-3315. 14-day free trial. What do you have to lose? $3.99 a month after that. 614-350-3315. I'll see you in your phone.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had 2 choices. I was accepted into a 4-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
take a look at birthdays for today. Harmon Killebrew. D-Man, you ever see him play in person?
I did not, but his nickname, the Killer, would
The Killer.
not fly today.
Yeah, yeah, right. And he used to be such a big guy. He was barrel chested. That doesn't look like a real big guy. Same thing with Mickey Mantle. You always thought how big and strong he was. In real life, he wasn't all that big. Bob Rule was born in 1944, played with the Cavaliers at the end of his career. Dandelion, 1947. Pedro Guerrero, Joe Johnson, and Kawhi Leonard, all born on the 29th of June. 216, not a bad day for birthdays. 216-575-0403 is the number. D-Man, you got the door open. You ready to make a run for it?
Where?
Oh, that's my. It looks like my door is open. I am ready to make a run for it. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. All right, you want to make one last push for Jadeveon Clowney? Or do you just want to say goodbye and good luck and have a nice life?
Our favorite topic on this show over the last however many weeks, Jadeveon Clowney. I mean, I like his resume in parts, but the injury history makes me nervous. The fact that he hasn't signed yet makes me nervous. So I would rather have him than not under a certain situation or under a certain circumstance, which is I don't want to commit a lot of money to him because I'm afraid that he might back off the accelerator a little bit.
Yeah, you keep hearing that's a bad mark against him, and you don't want to believe it till you actually see it in person. But it has all the makings of exactly what you just said.
Well, Les, here's the thing. It's not just me saying it. It's teams who could use an edge rusher not signing him saying it. You know, those teams he would be signed by now if there weren't questions about his motor.
All right, so he's reportedly asking for $18 million. When it started, he was around the $21 million mark. So here's the free agency update. The Browns apparently willing to pay $15 million a year, and they're reportedly willing to pay Clowney $15 million a year, and that's proposed by Albert Breer of MMQB. Preferred destinations are the Cowboys or the Saints. Tony Pauline of Pro Football Network is saying that. The Browns do have that big salary cap space. They've got 37 million left over. Titans at 19 million. Seahawks almost 14 million. Cowboys at 11.25, and the Saints at 8.765. He must really not want to come to the Browns. I mean, if all that money is there by a long shot, you'd think that there'd be something he could work out. But you know, he said early on he didn't want to go there. Didn't say why, but that's certainly what it appears to be right now.
Yeah, listen, I guess his camp would counter what I just said, like, oh, maybe teams are concerned about his drive once he gets his cash. The counter would be, no, that's not what they're worried about. It's the fact that, they're up against the cap, the ones that presumably are suitors for him. He might be saying to the Browns, or his agents, his reps say, well, gee, Cleveland, we see how under the cap you are. Why can't you chip off a few more million for us,
Well, that was our question that we posed, or I'm posing it right now. Should the Browns make one final push for Jadeveon Clowney? I don't know. You'd think that maybe it's a bad team chemistry, except they're not really doing team chemistry now anyway. So I'm not sure if that's a problem. I think team chemistry is going to be a problem for almost every team in the league. They all have new faces, new players, new coaching staffs for the most part. It's going to be interesting, and there's going to be questions and problems that probably haven't come up similarly in over the last 8-10 years.
Yeah, Les, along those lines, I would think that a veteran team that's got wins under their belt would be in a much better position than a young team trying to find its way. When
Right.
you have a COVID not truncated in the NFL case, but COVID affected season, such as the one you'll have with the NFL in 2020, the the team that's been together the longest presumably would have an advantage. And of course, you'd want your team to not just be together, but also to win. So, but I guess the Browns counter would be we can compensate with a really smart coaching staff that's really on the ball in terms of technology and what we want to get across in the virtual learning element. And of course, the Browns lead the world in the Ivy League lineup. So maybe the Browns won't be that far behind, let's say, a Ravens or a Steelers.
Bud Shaw will be here tomorrow night. Doug Lesmerises on Wednesday. On Thursday, Mary Kay Cabot as we set up the lineup for you for this week. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. If you'd like to talk to the D-Man, Dennis Manoloff, you're more than welcome to do that. If not, I think we can carry the show. Northeast Factory Direct, 3 locations, east, west, and south. West 140th Street in Cleveland near the airport. Lakeland Boulevard, as well as Freeway Drive, that's in Macedonia. Plus, the place you want to go first is northeastfactorydirect.com. We'll come back. We'll talk more. Baseball, football, you name it. More sports than Les Levine exclusively on cleveland.com.
Celebrate NatureStone's 30-year anniversary with a free NatureStone floor. During 2020, we will be giving away 30 free floors to 30 very lucky customers to say thank you for making NatureStone the best concrete flooring solution for garages, basements, and more. Call or visit naturestone.com today to register to win, and we'll send you a copy of our new buyer's guide absolutely free. There's no purchase necessary. Winners will be chosen monthly. With over 30 million square feet installed for more than 60,000 customers, it's easy to see why I always say it's not just a floor. Wow, it's NatureStone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Time for a How Come Quickie. Hey, D-Man, how come I keep hearing about the Great Depression, but to be honest with you, there doesn't seem to be anything very great about it?
Tremendous point there. And yeah, I mean, it's sad.
Who could add to that?
Sad, no doubt.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. Hey, we talked the other night, I don't know if it was one night with you, and I know with a couple of Bud Shaw and a couple others, we talked about the position of linebacker, which looks on paper for the Browns to be one of the weak position. But it used to be such a glamour position in the 60s and the 70s with names that just sounded like big, tough linebackers, Nitschke and Lambert and Sam Huff and guys like that. Now it seems like the glamour position, I think, is the defensive edge rusher.
Well, yeah, and then we know that Pro Football Focus, which has the attention of basically every team in the NFL, and rightly so in a lot of cases, because they crunch the numbers like few, if any, in the sport. Pro Football Focus talks about how that back end of the defense is just as, if not more important than, the front four or the front three or what have you. So, and when you look at what the Browns might play, that 4-2-5 alignment, you say, okay, maybe you can hide linebacker weaknesses easier in that situation. So,
What happened
I
to
do agree there are question marks.
What happened to the great nicknames, the Purple People Eaters and guys like that? That was fun.
Well,
but I think the game is changed.
yeah,
I think
nicknames are difficult these days. It seems like when the players give themselves nicknames, all they want to do is add a Y or an IE to the end of the name. We know, not a player, a former player, but a manager loves to do that. Terry Francona
right.
with Millsy and Ozzy and Frankie and Johnny and Paulie. I mean, he loves to add the E to everybody's name.
Yeah, baseball is a little easier. All right, speaking of the defensive line positions, the most pressures since 2018 belong to Cameron Jordan of the Saints, 161, Von Miller of the Broncos, 151, Khalil Mack of the Bears, 148, and Myles Garrett is number 4 in that lineup with 26 games, 131 pressures. The value of Garrett, according to Brandon Little of Sports Illustrated, he says, as most of you know, the Browns will soon make Myles Garrett the highest-paid defensive end in the NFL. Garrett will likely eclipse the $23.5 million annually that Khalil Mack makes. If not, it's going to be close. The defensive end position can make up for a bad linebacking core or secondary play just by putting pressure, getting some pushes. And Garrett has been an example of this at times, and he's been that since he's been in the orange and brown. Cleveland has one of the best important positions on the gridiron. So the question is, if they don't have the linebackers, can Myles Garrett actually make up for the lack of the linebackers? What do you think?
Of course he could, Les, but I'm going to be consistent with how I've been on your show in recent weeks. I'm in a show me mode with Myles Garrett. Now tell me, and I know you say, well, what do you mean show me? You just saw how dominant he could be. He's coming off of a year in which he was suspended. He cost his team dearly. He potentially cost a GM his job, a head coach's job. And I'm not saying the Browns aren't better off without Dorsey or without Kitchens. I'm just saying that even if the Browns go 3-3 in the games that Garrett missed, well, I don't know how many they won out of that stretch, but the bottom line is they could have been better if Myles had played the entire season and not gone off the rails and swung the helmet at Mason Rudolph. So to me, yeah, he's going to get his money, and that's all well and good, and he's going to look good in the gym. But I want 16 games, and I want nonstop productivity. I know he shows flashes where he dominates, but I want to see him dominate game after game after game.
First of all, I think he understands that. Second of all, I'm trying to think of anybody else on the team that I would say, make a switch and say, okay, you got to come back from what Myles Garrett came from. I think he's the guy. It should have never happened, but I think he's the guy that couldn't get out of it better than almost anybody on this team.
Okay, and right. I mean, everything I read and heard about him before the incident was that he was a gentle giant, mild-mannered, great dude, but he had the ability to get, shall we say, nasty on the field, at least, breathing fire. And then he has that incident with the helmet. But we do know that he had that punch at the beginning of the season as well that wasn't called, I believe, against the Titans. They're going to get after him. The other teams are going to talk to him, and, they're going to make some comments to him that try to trigger him. So it's going to be up to Myles Garrett to suppress any and all impulses to retaliate, and that will be a challenge.
All right, we're going to come back, and when we do, we're going to hear from Terry Francona. He-Man and I will get our thoughts on the upcoming baseball season. It'll get here quicker than you know it, believe it or not. Let's take a break. We'll come on back in a moment. Northeast Factory Direct is one place to go to, but another one for younger people, I would guess, Cuyahoga Community College. You can explore your interests and find a program that puts you on the path to a bright future. Tri-C offers more than 1,000 courses in over 140 career and technical programs. Go to tric.edu for more information. Tri-C. 216-575-0403 is our number. Back in a moment with Terry Francona, exclusively on cleveland.com.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had two choices. I was accepted into a four-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
Well, hello, everyone. Let me tell you a little bit about Browns Football Insider. For only $3.99 a month, you can get texts sent right to your phone each day from me, Dan Lobby, Scott Pasco, and Ellis Williams. In addition to that, you'll receive a Football Insider newsletter every day with special things from us, things that you won't see anywhere else on the site. You'll get breaking news, analysis, features, film breakdown, and things like that. Texting us directly gives you a great chance to cut through the clutter of Facebook, Twitter, other social media, and avoid the trolls. Also, it's the only way to get your questions on the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. So why should you sign up? Try a 14-day free trial. You can cancel at any time. All it takes is one text, but you won't want to cancel. We have hundreds of subscribers join us over the last year. They love it and have stayed with us. We're seeing the Football Insider community grow every week. And it's only $3.99 a month, which is less than 14 cents a day. What I like most about Football Insider is the opportunity to connect with you one-on-one and really communicate with you. So how can you become a Football Insider? You can click on cleveland.com/Browns, the blue banner at the top of the page. Or easier yet, text me at 216-208-3965. Again, that's 216-208-3965.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family warm this winter,
here, let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant, whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at smiley1.com.
I mean, we always care about, whether you talk about chemistry or personality, however you say it. But this is going to be a little different. I mean, we need to sit back and respect what we're going through. And by that, I mean, asking 40 guys to sit in the clubhouse just so I can feel good about talking to them isn't fair. So if we have to give, in some areas, like I've actually written out some things and I've gotten some help with Augie in Spanish, and we might just sit it on their chair, just some thoughts, because we're going to have to be willing to give in some areas. Again, our priority has to be the safety and the health of our guys. And we certainly want to be the best baseball team we can be, but that's going to help if everybody's healthy. I mean, we've never gone through anything like this. I do know that there's a few ways you can look at it. We can either look at it that we're coming into August and we're tied for first place with four other teams, or you can shrug your shoulders and roll your eyes and be like, yeah, there's nobody in the stands and whatever. I can't imagine our guys acting like the second. We're going to have to come up with some of our own enthusiasm and like I said, fall back on the things that we believe in as a team more now than ever, because there aren't going to be people in the stands. But again, we talk all the time about valuing what it takes to win more than the other teams. That is never going to be more evident than now. And the teams that handle it the best probably are going to give themselves the best chance to win. Well, first of all, we're going to play 3 exhibition games at the end. I've never been a big fan of inter-squad games. Well, we're going to have to become fans of inter-squad games because we're going to need to play. So that first week, we'll have a lot of like sim-type games. We'll work into the inter-squad type games, and then we'll get into the finally, when we play another team. But we're just going to try to get our guys ready the best way we know how And if we have to make changes, we will. It's just, again, there's so much to balance right now. It's not just baseball. It's the safety of the players. It's, the cleanliness of the clubhouse. It's giving the guys time to clean it in between the groups. There's a lot of things to think about right now.
Hey, man, is there any advantage for the Indians that they have Tito Francona, or everybody's working from a new playbook? What is there an advantage?
Just by what you heard there, I would think there is an advantage with Tito. But let me say this right out of the gate, Les. How good does Terry Francona look physically? I mean, I know we're only catching him from the chest up, but he looks good. And when you compare that to several years ago when it looked like something was really wrong with him, and it turned out it was, hats off to him. I read somewhere where he stopped chewing tobacco for, 8-9 months or something. So first and foremost, it's great to hear and see what appears to be a healthy Terry Francona. And to your point about, your question about managerial skills, managerial difference, I don't know that a good manager makes a whole lot of difference, but a great manager can win you a few games that you weren't supposed to win. And I put Terry Francona in the great manager category. So I think, and plus, and that's not even talking about his motivational skills. So I think Terry Francona is worth a couple of wins, which in a 60-game season could be all the difference in the world.
Well, the managerial skills there it's the same for everybody, but usually I don't want to say in a case like that because we've never had a case like that, but when there are things that happen, one comes to mind when the Indians lost their 2 pitchers down at the Little Lake Nelly, and Hargrove talked to a whole bunch of managers to see how to handle that situation, and nobody had the right. First of all, nobody had to go through that before, so there's nothing they could actually suggest to Hargrove as to how he would take care of that. So there's nothing. They're going to make it up as they go along. And if you have guys who are not in slumps, that'll just put you in a better position.
Right, Les. And that's where you want a manager to have the combination of the X's and O's skills, but also the feel. And I think that's what makes Francona so good, what sets him apart from a lot of his peers. He understands the numbers. He reads the charts. He digests the quote unquote new school metrics, but he also is capable of going on feel, figuring out when a player needs a blow, when a player or when a pitcher has reached his limit in terms of pitches or innings. He's got that uncanny knack of figuring that out more often than not. So if anybody's going to get a team to the playoffs, in a tight division potentially, I like my chances with Terry Francona.
Well, I do too, but you also have a situation where Francona will be learning himself as far as having to replace a pitcher and make sure that he gets his 3 hitters that he has to face. That's something that is totally new, and it's just added to the mix here, and it'll be interesting to see how teams handle that. Indians seem to be okay because they got a lot of depth out of the bullpen, but until they actually do it, you're not going to know.
That's correct, and as far as we know, he's going to have his trusty Millsy by his side. I haven't heard otherwise. So, assuming Millsy is there with him, that combination is the best in the Central Division. And so in terms of manager bench coach, so that will help a great deal. But I want to stress something, Les, about this baseball season. I really, really hope that Commissioner Rob Manfred and all the owners and all the power players in this league recognize that you are capable of having a season, even if there is an outbreak of positive cases of COVID in your city. Now, maybe that sounds a little cold, a little tone deaf, but trust me, it's not. The point is, there are plenty of businesses in every city where there is a major league club who have continued to function even when there are spikes in positive cases. So just because there's a spike in a positive case, it shouldn't automatically mean for a major league team, we got to shut it down. We got to shut it down. We got to shut it down. If you can do it within your bubble and there's not an outbreak within your bubble, then you should be allowed to go ahead and do it without feeling guilty or anything like that.
That's a good point. And what do you think? Oh, by the way, what's the magic number right now? Do you know?
Somebody will have it.
59.
I like what.
Got to be 59 and a half.
Les, I like what Francona said, by the way. You know, everybody's tied with 2 months to go. I kind of like that.
Yeah. Yeah, some of his teams have not started that well, but obviously there's a different pressure to do it now. Has your thought changed on what they should do about Lindor? Or my thoughts changed a little bit because nobody's going to take that asking price. I don't think. I think that I think the price is way out of line to only get 1 year out of him.
Well, yeah, and that year has a big asterisk next to it, at least for now. Not saying the World Series champ would have an asterisk because, as Terry Francona said, it's not going to matter if the Indians win it all. They won the World Series, but I don't see it with Lindor. I don't see Lindor getting moved in this very interesting, to say the least, COVID-affected season, COVID-truncated season, for many reasons. As you said, Les, that's a heck of an asking price for a guy that you might only have for a couple of months if you're not intending to sign him long term. I think the better opportunity to move him is the offseason. And here's the other thing. If you're the Indians and you start the season with Frankie Lindor, then you better be in last place at the trade deadline before you think about moving him. Because, I mean, imagine you're one game out in this 60-game sprint and you just decide near the trade deadline, we're going to move Lindor. No. You keep him. If he's on your opening day roster, you keep him unless you are drowning by the trade deadline.
Absolutely. And how many wins do you think it'll take to win each division? Or any division?
Yeah, I mean, assuming all 60 are played, and we certainly hope. I'm thinking in this division, AL Central, I'll say 30, 35 and 25 we'll get it done.
10 games over the 500 mark. 216-575-0403. We're coming back with Dennis Manoloff one more time. We'll get his thoughts on anything we've missed during the past hour or so. Don't forget tomorrow night, Bud Shaw will be here. On Wednesday night, Doug Maurice. And on Thursday, Mary Kay Cabot will join us. Northeast Factory Direct, East, West, and South. They've got the locations to match up with the website, northeastfactorydirect.com, and find out how you can take advantage of the guaranteed lowest price anywhere. If you buy something at the factory, Northeast Factory Direct, and you find it's lower price in the next year, they'll come and cut you a check that day. Check it out at Northeast Factory Direct. 3 locations plus the great website. Sokolowski University Inn. Speaking of the website, they're going to tell you what their plans are. They don't want to give it away till they know exactly how they're going to handle it. It's been there since 1923, almost 95 years. How about that? Located in Fremont, the winner of the James Beard Foundation Award about 5 years ago, the only one in the Cleveland area to actually win that award. We're coming back. We'll check the voicemail we'll check your responses on the Facebook question of the day and more. Dennis Manoloff with us, more sports and less Levine, exclusively on cleveland.com.
Your home is your most important investment, and your basement is the go-to part of your home. It's your children's rec room. It's where your family and friends spend time together. It's much more than just a basement. Now is the perfect time to add beauty and value to your home with an authentic NatureStone basement floor. And every NatureStone floor comes with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty. For a limited time, get our exclusive mini pearl stone for as low as $2.99 a square foot, plus installation. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's NatureStone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
Let's check out this date in sports history. June 29th, 1941. Joe DiMaggio breaks George Sisler's American League record of hits in consecutive games at 41. His streak would end a couple of weeks later at 56 in a game at Cleveland Municipal Stadium. Let's check out this date in Les Levine history. The 29th, 1964. In honor of Joe DiMaggio, Les and a couple of his friends attempt to beat the record of the Yankee Clipper by eating a Mauby's hamburger 56 days in a row. Anybody remember Mauby's? Anybody? No? Best ever.
Oh.
Best ever. Mike, I'm guessing you were a Mauby's guy.
Where's Mike? The voice of God.
It would have been more for me. Who knew? Did you have a favorite burger today, back in the day, D-Man?
What's that, Les?
Did you have a favorite burger somewhere on the west side? Were you a Bearden's guy?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Sure, yeah.
Bearden's, I mean, you name it. Anything that was put in front of me as a kid that didn't move, I typically ate it.
You didn't care if it was any good or not. 216-575-0403. All right, there's some trade talk out there. You want to hear some?
Yes, sir.
Baseball trade talk? All right, this would be a scenario with the Indians and the Dodgers. The Indians would receive shortstop Corey Seager, right-handed pitchers Josiah Gray, and Michael Bush, the second baseman. Dodgers would receive, I don't know, how about Francisco Lindor? Is that, if you're going to trade him, is that what you would actually do?
I mean, we've been down this road once, Les, with the Indians asking for the moon from the Dodgers and the Dodgers saying no thanks, and then they turn their attention to the Red Sox and pry Mookie Betts loose. But if I don't know exactly what the correct haul is for Lindor at this point. And again, I'm thinking it'll be this offseason, not during this 60-game sprint or even before it. But in the offseason, heading into 2021, that's when I believe the market will be open again for Lindor. The Indians should once again ask for the moon. And if they are stopped or rejected, then they have a plan B. Whereas last offseason, this past one, they could say, you know what, we're gonna shoot for as high as we can get. And if we don't get what we want, we don't have to move him.
Right.
I think there's more of a need to move him entering his walk year. That's obvious. Than there would have been this past offseason.
Maybe I can give Mike and Brian in the back Facebook question of the day, which they might want to put up for tomorrow night. If the Indians win the whole thing this year, is that a World Series title to you?
Yeah, if you'd asked me this when the initial news came down that it was a commissioner-imposed season, I would have said absolutely not. But as each day gets closer to not only the start of summer camp 1.0, spring training 2.0 on July 1st, and then once the season gets rolling, I will probably forget how the sausage was made, and all I'm going to care about is, will the Indians make the playoffs? And if they do, can they win the World Series? And if they do that, then I'm not going to worry about an asterisk. Unless during one of my shows on WTAM, the texters weighed in, and they're always sharp. And one of them said, I would rather be a world champion in a 60-game commissioner-induced season than the 2017 world champion Houston Astros. And when that text came in, I said, you know what? I'm not going to argue with you.
Yeah, it's a great point. No question about it. And people forget in '95, which if the Indians had won, I think that goes down as one of the great teams in the history of baseball. Baseball was only 144 games for that season. And Cleveland, of course, won 100, but they probably would have won 106, 108, something like that had they played the whole thing out. So you're starting, as am I, or I believe that I feel the same way you do. I'm starting to feel a little excitement. Hard to believe it's on a 60-game season, but I just want to go. I just want to see games played at the highest level.
Yes,
and by the way, what you said about Tito, that there will be a trading deadline, so you won't be able to make trades the last 2 weeks. But out of 6 divisions, you got to believe that 4 of them are going to go right down to the wire, don't you think?
Yeah, and I'll say this, Leslie. You had mentioned in your opening about how the Indians won't have to face the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Dodgers, the Astros. The problem is, I like the NL Central more than I dislike it. And the fact the Indians are going to have to see, the Reds, the Brewers, the Cubs, and the Cardinals 16 times combined, that bothers me a bit because I think those 4 teams are solid to good. And so the Indians' competition outside of the AL Central is going to be, difficult. But yes, most of the divisions have a decent amount of parity in them.
And we'll see how the 60-game schedule works for it. We have a Facebook question of the day. That is, should the Indians push hard to trade Francisco Lindor before the 2020 season to maximize their return? Let's see what people had to say about that. We'll start off with Glenn Berger. And Glenn says the 2020 baseball season will be most unusual. A team that gets off to a quick start could easily make the playoffs. That being said, they need to keep Lindor. Not only is he the face of the franchise and the team leader, but he's the best offensive threat on the team. The Indians' weakness is its offense. They need to keep Lindor and then entertain trade talks following the 2020 season. Kevin Piles looks at it. He says, I'll be very surprised if any team will make a significant trade during the pandemic season, especially for a player without several years left on his contract. Not worth the risk knowing that this season may not be completed because of COVID-19. Significant trades will wait until the offseason again, depending on where the country is at that time with the pandemic. Gerard Morelli, the ship has already sailed. Buster Olney said he thinks there's a 0 chance of them finishing the season with COVID-19 out there. Well, we'll never know. Never know.
Well, and Les, let me just quickly say this. When I said you got to try to keep playing, even if there's a spike in cases, the 2 times when you don't plot on necessarily is if there's an overrunning of the hospital system and, God forbid, a death rate spike. That's when you really, really, really have to say, you know what, we got to do something else here. We got to put a pause on it. But I would urge, even with cases going up, positive cases, you still try to play the season. And if you have a blowout within your bubble, then that's one thing. But if you don't, then you keep going.
All right. We also have the voicemail of Truth and Reason. If you want to leave us a message when we're not on the air, we do the show from 6 until 7 p.m. live Eastern time. But any other hour, you can call that number and leave us a message. 216-200-6650 is the number to call. We'll come back one more time with Dennis Manoloff. More sports and less Levine exclusively on cleveland.com.
Your home is your most important investment, and your garage is the entrance to your home. It's where your kids come in from school. It's where your family and friends gather together. It's much more than just a garage. Now is the perfect time to add beauty and value to your home with an authentic NatureStone garage floor. And every NatureStone floor comes with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty. For a limited time, get our exclusive gray brown blend stone for as low as $2.99 a square foot plus installation. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at NatureStone.com. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's NatureStone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Tomorrow night, Bud Shaw joins us. Wednesday night, it will be, who's going to be here on Wednesday? Oh, Doug Maurice. And then on Thursday, of course, Mary Kay Cabot. You see us live from 6 until 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and you can follow us and archive us all the way through. Normally, D-Man, you'll be back Wednesday, right? A week from this Wednesday?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be subbing for Triv Wednesday and Thursday on WTAM.
You have hit the big time.
I'm nervous, to say the least. I've subbed before, but never back-to-back days, and certainly not in a COVID climate.
Are you on Friday?
I am not.
You're not. All right, so I don't have to go up against you. I'm going to be on 92.3 The Fan from 3 until 7.
You
Not
got it
against
wrong.
you. Not against you.
I wouldn't have to go up against you. My peeps told me, you want to take Friday off because Les is running the show.
When did you get peeps? Have you had them for a while?
Well, I got one here on my text box that just came in from Mr. Gullible. Hey, D-Man, Les might try to tell you today that I recently tried to sneak through some questionable how come quickies. Not true. I know Les has to be careful what he says, what he lets through these days. He did zap me for a few PG-13 efforts. Gullible.
He's bypassing me. He's telling you to hand it to D-Man?
Right.
Hey, Mr. Gullible, I'm not going to go down with the ship like that. When I go down, I'm going on my own.
Yeah, he texted in to the one of my shows on TAM, and I texted him back, and now we're text buddies.
Excellent. Better you than me. All right, you got about a minute. What are you looking forward to more? Opening of baseball season with the Indians, and we don't know who they're playing yet or where, or the Browns in their opening game?
Oh, I thought you were going to ask me about basketball, Les, and the Disney complex.
I know the answer.
I can't wait for the AAU-style NBA tournament to get underway. Sports has the potential to be absolutely lit, to borrow the youngsters' phrase. Starting in August, it's going to be incredible, or late July, early August. But if I had to rank them, I would say opening a baseball season, opening a football season, and then reopening of basketball season.
Think about this entire drought we've had from sports, and then all of a sudden, once it picks up, if they can get some handle at all on the COVID situation, the sporting events are going to be unbelievable. I mean, I don't want to say it's worth the wait because this is tragic information, this news of the COVID and the virus and the whole thing. But if you're a sports fan, it will be worth the wait.
You're right, Les, and this is a point, too, I wanted to make before we ended. Certainly as pertains to the Indians, I want to know what creative license an individual team is allowed to have in terms of piped in music or observers outside the gates. I mean, I'm thinking of John Adams. Somehow, some way, John Adams' drum has to factor into this whole thing. Even if he's not in the ballpark physically, he can be right outside.
It can be on the home run porch.
Right, or you pump in his drumming noise. Are you allowed to do that? I don't know what MLB has said about what you can and cannot run through your sound system.
If you read Hoinsey today, he was talking about the writers and the broadcasters doing the games will be doing. For example, if there's a game in Chicago with the Indians, Hammy and that group, Matt Underwood and that group will be doing it back from Progressive Field. That'll be interesting to see how that happens.
Yeah, it will, but you trust a guy as professional as Hammy and Matt Underwood,
they'll get it
those
done.
guys. They'll figure it out, and they'll probably make it sound like they are there. So I trust them implicitly.
All right, we got to go. Good luck with your filling in for Triv, and I will see you next Wednesday night.
You got it, Les. Thank you.
That's the D-Man, Dennis Manoloff. I'll see you tomorrow night with Bud Shaw. Of all the shows I've ever done, this was the most recent.